Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I want to start this short video with a message. That message is the U.S. Special Envoy to Sudan, Mr. Tom Birrello. And in this message, I hope he will hear it because, I want it to go to him directly so that he doesn't need translation. And I just want to tell him that if you are actually genuine in trying to solve the problem of Sudanese people or for the crisis of Sudan from this rebellion by the Rapid Support Force, then you have to consider certain factors which will be the ingredients for any success. Because otherwise, if you don't have those ingredients for success, you are destined to fail. And you are already failing. And so, the first thing I want you to consider is your mediation or facilitation team. Did you check that team really? Have you looked at the team and the composition of the team? Like you are repeating the same war. This war against Sudanese people and this war against Sudanese army is actually perpetrated by the whole world against Sudanese people and Sudanese army. And you are just gathering those enemies by so many ways or in many ways that you are bringing them to the table just to be against the Sudanese people. The team consists first from United States of America. That is represented by you. You are not neutral. All the actions and the statements and the activities which you have shown so far is far, far from neutrality. You are biased. You are biased. I don't know to whom, but you are not neutral. Neutral. So, starting from United States of America, going through the European Union, the African Union, the IGAD, then go to the countries, Egypt, Saudi Arabia. Those countries, they are not neutral. They are biased. They are biased towards the rebellion. Somebody needs to explain why they are biased, but all their actions prove that they are biased. And now you are adding a new member, which is United Arab Emirates. United Arab Emirates is the head of the snake. It is actually the one who is managing, funding, and supplying all support for the Rapid Support Force and its political wing so that they can wage this war against Sudanese people. So this team has to be reviewed. And if we give you the benefit of the doubt that you are a neutral person and that you are trying to solve the issue of the war in Sudan, then at least bring with you some countries that they know what justice is. Because the whole peace, any peace, must be based on justice. If there is no justice, there will be no peace. You might make an agreement, you might sign an agreement, you might make declaration and celebrate, but there will be no peace without justice. So bring countries that they can bring justice with them. For example, why don't you look at countries that internationally known to be peaceful countries, that they work towards peace, like bringing India or New Zealand or South Africa. Those are the countries that people could look at them and say, well, they are not the enemy of Sudan and we can deal with them. But you cannot compose your team from the people who are fighting the war. And then you tell them, go and make peace in Sudan. So this theme must be reviewed, and I hope you do it as soon as possible. That is the factor number one. The factor number two is to manage your facilitation in such a way that it should bring a positive outcome. What you are doing now with all the countries, you are trying to put more and more and more pressure on Sudanese army. And by that, you are trying to isolate. You wanted to send a message that Sudanese army is something separate that you can deal with. And it is a war between the army of Sudan and between the rebels. And that is wrong. That is wrong approach from the start. The war is not between the Sudanese army and the rebel group. The war is between Rapid Support Force and Sudanese people. The Sudanese army is just doing its job to protect the country and to protect the people and to maintain peace and security in the country. You have no right to talk to the people of the Sudanese army because you are not a military person. Your mandate is political, and you should deal with the political power in Sudan, which is the Sudanese government. You should limit it. The idea is, and I hope I am wrong, but I think what you are trying to do is you are trying to put pressure on the army, only the army. Like you do not recognize the government, and also you do not accept the fact that the Sudanese army is solidly supported by Sudanese people. You wanted to say this is just the army and it is a war between two generals, and if we can bring the two generals together, then we can make peace. And that is the wrong approach because it is not going to bring peace. That is not going to bring peace. That is actually, if you succeed in putting more pressure on the army so that it make concessions and sign an agreement which is not accepted by Sudanese people, you are going to make matter worse. You are not going to make it better. Because then you will not have only one army to deal with. You will have an army in the north, and you will have an army in the east, and you will have an army in the Blue Nile, and you will have an army in the White Nile, and you will have an army in Al Jazeera, and you will have an army in North Kordofan and South Kordofan and North Darfur and West Darfur. All Sudan will be armies. Because right now we have more than 6, 7, 8 armies. And then you are just going to increase it because each group, each tribe, each area is going to take weapons. And that is not going to assist you in achieving your agenda, whatever it is. And it is not going to achieve the agenda of United Arab Emirates, whatever it is. So it is better for you and for Sudanese people and for the Rapid Support Force and for all the mediators and for the peace of the world that you maintain the discipline of dealing with Sudanese government and not try to overlook the government and overlook the people and try to isolate the Sudanese army as just a group of military people that they are they can easily be pressurized and brought to book. That is wrong because as a matter of fact, the stand of the Sudanese army now is not actually the stand of the Sudanese army. It is the stand of the people. Sudanese army is just supporting the people of Sudan. All people of Sudan, all politicians, all civilians, all civil organizations, they are against the Rapid Support Force the criminal activities that they are doing in Sudan. And that is why they are together solidly behind the army. And you cannot break that. You can try, but you are not going to break this bond between the army and the Sudanese people and the Sudanese government. And don't listen to those the politicians who are staying in Ethiopia or in Addis or in Abu Dhabi or in Nairobi, who are talking on behalf of civilians or the democratic forces. These are people who are actually casted by the Sudanese people. They have no future. They have done this. They have lied to Volker before you and tried to convince him that they represent the people, and they failed. They tried it with Hemeti, the leader of the rebel support force. They told him that we have a popular civilian support. They lied, and he paid the price, and he was killed. And then they are lying now, right now, they are lying to African Union, and the African Union, for a reason or another, they are just falling for them. They are making, these meetings after meeting and a workshop after workshop. I don't know what they are trying to do, because this group does not represent anybody in Sudan. This group, which they call themselves the freedom and justice, or they call them the allied democratic civilian forces, whatever they call themselves, they do not represent anybody in Sudan. So don't fall for that. You have to be honest with yourself and with the Sudanese people, that this stand of the army is the stand of the Sudanese government, is the stand of the Sudanese people. And you have to deal with it in that context. Otherwise, you are just going to make so much efforts for nothing. That is the second point I want to make clear. The third one is that this position of the Sudanese government now, that the findings or the declaration of Jeddah, the first stage of the declaration of Jeddah must be implemented first before we go into any further negotiations. And that is very logical. That is very logical, because you cannot start negotiations, reach a conclusion, make a declaration, sign it, and then throw it away and then start from the beginning. Because in this sense, we are going to keep repeating ourselves, starting from the beginning every time. So the idea is, this stand of Sudanese government, that the Rapid Support Force must implement the first stage of the declaration of Jeddah, which has been concluded last year, is the right one. And if we can be able to implement that part of the agreement, as a matter of fact, we will be, hitting not one bird or two birds or three birds, but hitting four birds with one stone. Because first, if that is implemented, it will prove yourself that you are a person of integrity, that you are trying to genuinely solve the problem of Sudan through negotiations, and that is why you are enforcing the first stage of negotiations, which has been concluded in Jeddah. That is for your own benefit. It gives you a credibility that Sudanese people could look forward and say, no, he is on the right track, and we are willing to cooperate, and we are willing to make even concessions if necessary, if we have to bring peace and security to Sudanese people. That is number one. Number two, it is actually going to prove that the Rapid Support Force still has a central command, because right now, after the death of Hemeti, because I believe you agree with me that Hemeti is dead. I don't think you believe this child play of United Arab Emirates using artificial intelligence to create advisors and declaration and statement from a dead person. He is dead and buried, and he is just bones now. I don't want it to go beyond that, whether he is in hell or in heaven. That is as a Muslim, I don't go there because I don't know, and only God knows who is right and who is wrong. But as a dead person, let us just be satisfied that he is the dead. So you don't believe this child's play of United Arab Emirates and use of this artificial intelligence to create statements and to create advisors and to make delegations of mission. This is all nonsense. It null and void because it is coming from a dead person. You cannot hold him responsible for what he did. So you don't believe that. So if the Rapid Support Force now enforce the first part of the Declaration of Jeddah and withdrew from all the areas, the civilian areas, from the public areas like schools and hospitals and energy infrastructure, and move outside towns, that is going to prove that this rebel group has a command and central command that can make an agreement and can sign an agreement, and that agreement can be implemented. Because right now, this is all just assumptions. You are assuming that those people who are coming to sign with you, representing the Rapid Support Forces, which I'm very doubtful of. But you will find out, sooner or later, you will find out if these people delegated by the artificial intelligence from a dead person are actually a real representative of the Rapid Support Force or not. You will find out, and we will all find out. But if the first part of the Declaration of Jeddah is implemented now, then we will be hopeful that even though Hemeti is dead, there is a central command of this Rapid Support Force which can take the negotiation forward. That is also very important finding that we have to come to realize if we implement the first part of the Declaration of Jeddah. That is number 3. There is number 4. It is also very important for you, for the United Nations, for the African Union, for IGAD, that these people withdraw from people's houses, from civilian areas, from schools, from hospitals, so that the people, the Sudanese people, who are 50% of them are refugees or displaced, they go back to their areas. Why are you delaying the withdrawal, whether there is agreement or not? Why are you delaying the withdrawal of the Rapid Support Force from civilian areas so that the people could go back? These people, they are not the army. Are they fighting the army or fighting the people? They should go and fight the army in the barracks of the army, but not the civilian areas. Let the people come back to their houses, to their schools, to their fields, to their shops, to their factories. Let them start their livelihood again, because this suffering is continuing, and we are and you are continuing to negotiate a useless, hopeless, endless negotiations, which is not going to lead to anything. So to prove that wrong, that statement of hopeless, useless, endless negotiations is wrong, then they have to start first implementing the first part of the Declaration of Jeddah, and then after that we look forward to see what is happening after that. Then we can go for more negotiations, and like I said, then there is a chance to make more concessions. The last point I wanted to make is that I want to repeat it, don't listen to those groups who describe themselves as civilian and as representative of the freedom. They are very far from freedom, very far from democracy, and very far from representation of Sudanese people. Don't listen to them. Don't waste your time to listen to them. Just continue on your efforts, first by first. First one, the first part, the most important part, the key part, the crucial part is the withdrawal of the Rebel Support Force from civilian areas, so that we can look beyond that. If you don't want to do that, or if you cannot do that, then there is no need to waste your time and to waste your time. You can just go back home and leave us alone. Thank you.